Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is December 6th, 2025. My name is Mo, and this is the post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end. Today, we're starting several hours late. I do apologize about that. I was out all day. I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of errands to run. I've been out since early morning. I did stop to watch the match, continued to run errands. Now I'm back home. It's midnight here, but I'm back home finally. So finally, I decided, hey, I cannot go to sleep without talking about today's match because today, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona defeated Real Betis 3-5 in what was honestly a deceiving result. And why do I mean a deceiving result? Because up to the 80th minute, Barcelona were leading 1-5. And then Real Betis were able to score 2 goals in the final minutes of the match. And that's why I say it's deceiving. Because if someone didn't watch the match and they see just the result 3-5, they might think, oh, this match looks like it was close. But that was not the case, right? That was not the case because Barcelona completely dominated this match. And again, 3-5, not really a real reflection of what happened during the match. However, it is a warning to Barcelona because those 2 last-minute goals were 100% the fault of the team and something that cannot be repeated in future matches. Now, before we dig into the actual match, as always, I do like to go over the lineup. Then I like to go talk about the general sensation of the team. And then finally, we discuss each player specifically or players that I believe deserve a mention. But let's start with the lineup because there was a very different lineup than usual today. And this is what Hansi Flick started with today's match. Of course, in goal, Joan Garcia. Our fullbacks were Jules Koundé, Alejandro Balde. And once again, Hansi Flick going with Pau Cubarsí and Gerard Martin as our center back double. Then we have our double pivot with Eric Garcia and Pedri. And here is where the change was. Lamine Yamal playing as our attacking midfielder in that number 10 position. As we know, Dani Olmo is injured. He's out for a whole month. And Fermin Lopez just came back from injury. He is fit. However, being that he just came back from injury, of course, he was not fit enough to start. So Lamine Yamal starting in the attacking midfield position. Rooney Bardaghji getting a start in that right wing. Marcus Rashford on the left. My guess is that Hansi Flick was resting Rafinha for the Champions League match against Eintracht Frankfurt. And finally, Ferran Torres in the center forward position. Now, this was the lineup that Hansi Flick started the match with. And now let's talk about the actual team sensation. Because today, the team, they kind of started like they've been starting many of their matches this season. And kind of like they started a lot of their matches last season. They started with the match sleep at the wheel. Okay? Because right away, Real Betis scored a goal. They were up 1-0. But here is the difference. Today, I saw the same reaction that Barcelona used to have last season. Because last season, as strong as Barcelona was, as competitive as they were, as great as they were, as entertaining as they were, they always had the same problem. And it's that they always would start the match half asleep. And most of the time, the opposing teams would always score on them during the first half. But every time that would happen, the team never looked worried. The team never looked concerned. In fact, you would look at the players' faces, and they looked like they would actually get motivated. Like, oh, shit, we just got scored on. All right, it's our turn. Let's go get it. And today, that's exactly what I saw. I saw that Barca from last season where, yes, they started the match asleep at the wheel. They get scored on, and they're like, all right, well, you had your fun, Real Betis, but now it's our turn. And that's exactly what Barcelona did. They reacted in a beautiful way because immediately Barcelona took back control of the match. They started creating chances, and there comes Barcelona's first goal a few minutes later. I think it was 5 minutes after Real Betis' goal. Beautiful play. Lamine Yamal passes it to Rooney Bardaghji. Rooney Bardaghji immediately releases it to Jules Koundé. Jules Koundé puts a cross to Ferran Torres. Hand delivered to Ferran Torres, and then Ferran Torres pushes it in. Barcelona are level 1-1. And then 2 minutes later, Barcelona complete the remontada with another goal by Ferran Torres. This time was by an assist of Rooney Bardghji, because Rooney Bardghji creates the space with a bicycle, beautifully done by Bardghji, puts in a cross, and then Ferran Torres with a beautiful finish for Barca's 2-1. And within 5 minutes, Barcelona had completed the remontada, but that wasn't it, right? Barcelona wanted more, and there was more to give, because Rooney Bardghji gets a pass from Pedri, creates a space, and then puts in an absolute missile into the back of the goal for Barca's 3-1. And then Ferran Torres tries his luck from outside the box, takes a shot, got lucky there because there was a deflection, but nonetheless, you have to create your own luck. And Ferran Torres completes a hat trick. And Ferran Torres once again goes back from being a sardine back to the shark, right? Because he used to be the shark. He was a sardine for most of the season, back to being a shark. And that, of course, is great news, because I've always said I always want all Barcelona players to be competing at the highest level. And today, Ferran Torres competed at the highest level. He scored a hat trick. It could have been more, honestly. But nonetheless, I'm very happy that Ferran Torres is once again performing like last season. Let's hope he can keep it up, because that's my only problem with Ferran. Yes, sometimes he gives you some good matches where he scores goals, but he cannot keep it up, right? A lot of times then he disappears for 2-3 matches, then he gives you another good one. Today, absolutely great match by Ferran Torres, the MVP of the match. Let's hope he can keep it up. But that wasn't all, because Barcelona were not done. They were up 1-4, comes the second half, and there comes the penalty kick. By the way, very controversial penalty kick. I don't think it was a penalty, because the ball, as far as I understand the rules, if the ball bounces off a legal part of the defender's body and then hits his arm, that's not a handball. And that's exactly what happened here. Marcus Rashford takes a shot. The ball hits, I can't remember his name, Real Betis defender, in the ribs. And then from there, it bounces and hits his arm. But nonetheless, the referee decided to give a penalty. I think he did it because the arm was in an unnatural position. Maybe that's why. But as far as I understand the rules, that shouldn't have been a penalty. But nonetheless, it was granted. Lamine Yamal takes it. I think it was beautifully executed. He completely fakes the goalkeeper, ends up giving a pass to the back of the net for Barcelona's 1-5. And now, Hansi Flick, of course, did what any reasonable coach would do. We have a Champions League match on Tuesday against Eintracht Frankfurt. And Hansi Flick thought, all right, well, it's time. We're up 1-5. It's the 70th minute. There are only 20 minutes left. It's time to make some substitutions. So he takes out some important players. Eddie Garcia comes out. Pedri comes out. Gerard Martin comes out. Rooney Bardghji comes out. And then we see players like Andreas Christensen, Frankie de Jong, Marc Bernal, Fermin Lopez. They all come in. And this is where the problem begins. Because after all these substitutions, that team completely fell apart. And that's a problem. Now, before I talk about why it's a problem, of course, Real Betis here advance their lines. They start pressuring. They score a goal. It's ruled offside. Thank God. They score a second goal. Their second goal, by the way, Kouarsi completely fell asleep on the wheel on that one. And then comes the stupid penalty kick by Jules Koundé. Betis are up 3-5. But then time runs out. And thankfully, we still take home the 3 points. And here is where my problem is, because Barcelona, the first 5 minutes, they started the match asleep at the wheel. They get scored on. They wake up, and then they dominate for the next 70 to 80 minutes. But then the last 10 to 15 minutes, the team completely falls apart, and then Real Betis are able to score 2 goals. And this is a big problem because, yes, we were up 1-5. Yes, it is Real Betis. Yes, you do have a Champions League match in a few days. But that's no reason for this team to completely slack off during the final moments of the match. Because this is Real Betis, with all due respect to Real Betis. And thanks to the team relaxing and falling asleep, they were able to score 2 goals in a matter of a few minutes. And that's Real Betis. We have very limited resources and very limited, skill-wise as far as their players. What happens if you're playing against Bayern Munich in the Champions League? What happens if you're playing against Arsenal? What happens if you're playing against PSG? If Real Betis were able to score 2 goals in 5 minutes because you completely relaxed, what are those teams going to be able to do if you completely relaxed? So I hope this is a lesson for the team that, yes, you dominated the match. You beat the hell out of Real Betis. You scored 5 goals. You were completely dominated. But you cannot fall asleep like that during the final moments. Because if Real Betis were able to score 2 goals against you in 5 minutes because you relaxed, you can only imagine what teams with much better resources like Bayern, like Arsenal, like PSG, like Madrid, etc., could do. So I hope the team learns from this and continue to improve, because I think today, and this is not, again, this is not to discredit what Barcelona did, because I think Barcelona today took a huge step forward. They built upon the success we had against Atletico Madrid. This Barca looked a lot more like last year's Barca. So I'm very happy about that, but there's still room to improve. And today's room of improvement is not to fall asleep during the final minutes, because you cannot give away a match like that. Now, we didn't today, thank God, but it could happen against bigger and stronger teams. Now, another thing I want to highlight, because I don't want to just, mention the bad things. Again, Barcelona had a remarkable match. I'm very happy with today's victory, but I want to talk about the team play, because that's something I criticized last match against Atletico Madrid. I said, look, I'm very happy with the victory, 3-1, very important 3 points, but I'm still seeing a lot of players playing on their own. And today, I saw much more teamwork, and that makes me very, very happy, because, again, it looks like Barca are building upon their work. They are improving. They're moving in the right direction. They had a problem with the press. That's been improving. Then they started having a problem with the individual play. That's been improving. Today, we saw a problem with falling asleep at the end of the match. Hopefully, that continues to improve. But I'm seeing a Barcelona that continues to improve, continues to get better and better, and they continue working and working and working towards the goal, which is to be competitive like we were last season. So very, very happy with this victory. Very happy with the team's performance. Very happy with the teamwork. Let's continue growing. Let's continue improving. And hopefully, pretty soon, we'll look like last season's team. Because if we do, we can once again believe in winning many, many trophies. Now, let's talk about players in specific, because there's a few players I want to talk about. First of all, Gerard Martin, another brilliant match by him. And I think we have, I said it before, I'll say it again. Gerard Martin is the solution to Iñigo Martinez leaving. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare them, because Iñigo Martinez is Iñigo Martinez. We all saw what an amazing defender he is. But up until this point, we were all worried about what are we going to do? Iñigo left. How are we going to replace him? We need to go to the market, maybe sign in the winter, maybe sign in the summer. We need to, and I think we found a solution. And a solution's name is Gerard Martin, because as a left center back, once again, he had a great match. Pau Cubarsí, by the way, today, second goal, completely his fault, falls asleep, Real Betis score. And Pau Cubarsí has been having a mixed season with some really great performances and some big bluffs here and there. And that's natural, of course. He's 18 years old. He's still learning. He's gaining experience. But given Pau Cubarsí's blunders here and there, right now, Gerard Martin is really the most reliable CB we have. And that's crazy to think, because we have, again, Pau Cubarsí, who I think is one of the most talented center backs in Europe. We have Araujo, who I believe is a very strong center back, just doesn't fit Barcelona's style. We have Andreas Christensen with plenty of experience, Champions League winner. And out of all those center backs, right now, we have Gerard Martin, who's the most reliable. A guy who 2 years ago was playing at Cornellà. That's not even considered a professional team. Absolutely crazy twist of events. More players than I want to talk about. Eric Garcia. Eric Garcia has become such an important player that he needs to start more often. Because today, Eric Garcia comes off, Frankie comes on, and the team gets worse. The midfield completely falls apart. And right now, I'd much rather Frankie be on the bench. Last season, Frankie had an amazing season. Casado did a good job covering for him during the first half, but once Frankie came on during the second half of the season, the team improved. This time, I'm seeing the opposite. When Frankie comes on, the team becomes worse. And I think right now, Eric has earned the right to start over Frankie de Jong. Jules Koundé, another player I want to talk about, because we've criticized Jules Koundé a lot. Today, he was good offensively, he was terrible defensively. Last match against Atletico Madrid, he was good defensively. He was terrible offensively. Today it was the opposite because the first goal, completely his fault. He falls asleep. Everybody sets the offside trap. He doesn't. And then, what's his name? Anthony is able to score. He also had some other blunders, but Kunde looks like he's taking a step in the right direction because before he was awful offensively and defensively. Last match, he was good defensively. This match, he was good offensively. But he still needs to work on improving because we're still not seeing the Kunde from last season. Lamine Yamal in the number 10. What do I say? I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw because I believe that Lamine in the middle, it gives him a lot more option. On the right wing, it had kind of become a little bit repetitive, right? Run deep and then cut into the middle. Run deep, cut into the middle. Run deep, and he was becoming a little bit more predictable. Today, Lamine in the middle, we saw him going to the right flank. We saw him going to the left flank. We saw him dropping and helping with the coverage. We saw him run up and help with the press. Today, Lamine had a really good match, but in a different sense. Usually, we talk about how good matches Lamine has because of his dribbling and what he does in attack-wise. Today, he had a great match because of his team effort. Because today, Lamine was everywhere. He was on the right. He was on the left. He was in the up front. He was in the back. He was helping with the defense. He was helping with the press. He was helping with the attack. Really good match by Lamine Yamal. And then, of course, Rooney Bardarji. Today, Rooney Bardarji making a statement. And that statement is, hey, Flick, I'm here and I deserve more minutes. Because not only did he provide an assist, one hell of an assist to Ferran Torres, but he also scored a goal. And I really liked what I saw from him. Of course, not enough to bench Lamine Yamal because it's Lamine Yamal, but definitely enough to merit more minutes. And I hope, and I'm sure, that Flick has taken note because today, Rooney Bardarji sending a clear message. I'm here. Use me, right? We always talk about Luis de la Fuente abusing Lamine with the minutes. Well, here we go. We have a solution. Lamine needs to rest. Lamine needs to be rotated. Lamine is sick. Lamine is injured. Lamine is suspended, whatever. I think we have a reliable option in Rooney Bardarji. And then for go. Today, Ferran Torres went back from being a sardine back to being a shark. A hat trick by Ferran Torres. Absolutely amazing. I already said what I had to say. I really hope he keeps it up because that's the only problem with Ferran and why I always say I don't think he has what it takes to be a starting 9. Not because he can't score. We've seen his numbers from last season. But the problem is keeping it up. Right? We see Ferran. We've seen brilliant matches by Ferran. This is not the first time we see Ferran have a brilliant match. We've seen brilliant matches by Ferran Torres before. The problem is he gives you a brilliant match, then he disappears for 3, 4, 5 matches, and then he gives you another brilliant one. And I hope he can work on being more consistent. Because as a starting number 9 for Barca, if that's what Ferran is aiming for, to be the starting number 9 in place of Lewy, he has to be able to keep it up. Right? Giving you a good match every 3, 4 matches is not good enough. He has to give you, out of 5 matches, 4 of them have to be good ones. So, but very happy for Ferran today. Great match. Hat trick. Back to being for go. And then Marcus Rashford. A good match today. I'm not going to say he had a bad match. But I'm still seeing with Rashford the same problems I see with Ferran. Where, yes, Rashford can score 2 goals against Newcastle and seal 3 important points for you in the Champions League. But then he disappears for 3, 4 matches and so on and so forth. So, would I pay $30 million for Rashford today? Absolutely not. If he can show me some more consistency, sure. But as of now, not really. Now, some good news. Of course, we saw some more minutes by Marc Bernal. I'm very happy about that. I think Marc Bernal is the future of Barcelona's midfield, no doubt. But, of course, we have to give him his time. He was out for a very, very long time. Fermin Lopez, today getting some minutes, which means he's healthy, he's back, he's fit. I'm sure we'll see him more against Eintracht Frankfurt. And besides that, Pedri. I mean, what is there to say about Pedri? The guy is a god. He's the best midfielder in the world. And we've gotten so used to his magisterial performances that I almost forgot to mention it. So I honestly don't know what else to say about Pedri. There really isn't any more else to say about Pedri. I mean, there are no words in a dictionary that can describe what Pedri does because that's how magical he is. But anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I had to say. Again, I apologize for doing this live pretty late. Again, I was out all day. I've been out since 9 in the morning. I'm absolutely exhausted. It's midnight now, but I got this out. I'm going to do a quick video after this because there is some news I want to cover, and then I'm going to go to bed. But thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you guys thought about today's match down below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, vice versa.